It was explosive news for avid Pawn Stars watchers when whispers began circulating that Richard Kevin Harrison, famously known as Rick Harrison, had received a life-in-prison sentence. Known for his tough-as-nails business style and extensive knowledge on the show, Rick suddenly stood at the center of a massive legal storm no one saw coming. For years, Pawn Stars had captivated audiences by revealing the enthralling realm of pawn dealing, rare treasures, tough haggling, and day-to-day drama inside Rick Harrison's famous Las Vegas pawnshop. But now, Rick's thriving TV career has veered down a dark and startling path. What could he have possibly done to merit such a dire sentence? Stay tuned as we explore the events that led to this shocking twist in Rick's life and uncover the finer details of the scandal. Richard Kevin Harrison, a highly recognized American businessman and TV personality, was born on March 22, 1965, in Lexington, North Carolina. When he was just 2 years old, his family uprooted to San Diego, California, where he spent the bulk of his youth. As a boy of 8, Rick developed epilepsy, leading him to spend long hours reading, a pursuit that sharpened his grasp of history and proved a future asset to his career. Rick's early years were anything but smooth. His epilepsy often forced him to miss school, and he eventually dropped out during his sophomore year. Nevertheless, this obstacle failed to curb his thirst for knowledge. Instead, he set forth on a path of self-education, voraciously consuming books on topics like history and business. This self-taught approach would later shine through his encyclopedic insights on Pawn Stars. As a teenager, Rick worked alongside his father in various ventures, gaining a sharp eye for worth and authenticity, skills that would prove priceless in the years to come. At 17, Rick's girlfriend, Kim, became pregnant, and they married soon after. Their union resulted in 2 sons, Corey and Adam, though the couple divorced after 8 years. In 1981, Rick's family resettled in Las Vegas, Nevada, where his father, Richard Benjamin Harrison, better known as the Old Man, opened the gold and silver coin shop. By 1989, this blossomed into the globally recognized gold and silver pawn shop, the eventual heart of Pawn Stars. Moving from a coin shop to a pawn shop was no accident. The Harrisons realized there were bigger earnings in pawn work. Those early days tested Rick and his father's mettle. They worked tirelessly to build a solid standing in Vegas, often dealing with stubborn customers and risky scenarios, experiences that toughened Rick and improved his haggling prowess. By the early 2000s, he had made a name for himself in Vegas, impressing collectors with his expertise in all kinds of historical objects. Noticing the showbiz potential of his business, Rick spent years pitching the concept of a reality TV series about daily life in the pawn shop. Despite numerous rejections, his diligence paid off when he struck a deal with the History Channel in 2009. Pawn Stars debuted soon after, tracking the everyday happenings of the gold and silver pawn shop. The cast included Rick, his son Corey, Big Hoss Harrison, his father Old Man Harrison, and their friend Austin, Chum Lee Russell, as they examined, purchased, and sold items of varying historical significance and uncertain value. No-nonsense attitude and encyclopedic knowledge of relics charmed viewers everywhere. Rick's famous phrase, "The best I can do is," became a classic as he bargained with customers eager to offload their hidden gems. What really set Pawn Stars apart was the educational twist that Rick insisted on. Each show provided little-known facts about items brought in, allowing Rick to flaunt his vast historical background. This clever approach attracted a wide audience, helping make it one of the History Channel's top-performing hits. Guided by Rick's savvy, the pawn shop enjoyed considerable growth. Fans around the globe came to see the shop firsthand, hoping to run into the show's stars or even land a cameo. Merchandise sales soared, and Rick enjoyed his celebrity status by publishing books, attending public events, and even opening a restaurant. Pawn Stars' remarkable success threw Rick under a new kind of spotlight. He surfaced on multiple talk shows, appeared in countless magazines, and found himself a hot commodity at major business summits. His journey from humble origins to millionaire entrepreneur struck a chord with everyday Americans, while his shrewd business advice brought him esteem beyond Hollywood circles. Front and center on Pawn Stars, Rick built a reputation as a bold businessman who talked straight and shot from the hip. He was the steady hand on screen, often stepping in to reel back his son Corey's massive spending ideas or Chumley's playful distractions. He also showed sincere admiration for his father, the Old Man, and carried on those lessons after his father's passing in 2018, promising to keep the pawn shop going under the same core values. During Pawn Stars' heyday, Rick's personal life had its fair share of highs and lows. After his first marriage ended, he wed Tracy Harrison, and they stayed together for 27 years before parting ways in 2011. Then, in 2013, Rick tied the knot with Deanna Burdett in a ceremony officiated by his Counting Cars friend Danny Coker, with Chum Lee as the ring bearer. Though Rick generally kept family matters under wraps, the show occasionally mentioned them, revealing his devotion to loved ones despite hectic fame and business needs. Beyond his work in the pawn shop, Rick pursued additional business endeavors. He opened Rick's Rollin' Smoke Barbecue and Tavern at Pawn Plaza, near the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, and co-wrote the 2011 book license to Pawn, Deals, Steals, and My Life at the Gold and Silver. True to his entrepreneurial spirit, Rick was forever eager to expand his brand. Throughout his career, Rick dazzled viewers with an uncanny knack for spotting real worth where most would see junk. Fans observed him evaluating everything from vintage cars to precious old documents, from modern collectibles to relics of ancient times. Even when he didn't know the full scoop, he was quick to call in experts, proving his knack for recognizing when specialized knowledge was required. Of course, Rick made both good and bad calls while buying and selling. He particularly excelled at firearms, watches, and American historical pieces, often turning modest outlays into sizable earnings. Among his standout acquisitions was a 2001 New England Patriots Super Bowl ring, scooped up for a mere $2,600, yet deemed to be far more valuable. He also famously procured a stash of Spanish gold doubloons from a 1715 shipwreck, revealing his taste for history and precious metals alike. Talking about the highlights of Rick's life, it's impossible to ignore the troubling experiences that crept up as a result of his own decisions. In 2023, his legal woes began when federal agents stormed his Las Vegas property during an investigation that had been simmering for months. At first, nobody really knew why the authorities were on his trail, which led to a whirlwind of guesses on social media. That raid astonished everyone, including friends and family. FBI agents joined forces with the IRS and officials from the Department of Cultural Heritage Protection, hitting both Rick's home and the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop with search warrants. Customers and employees on site were caught off guard, briefly held in place while agents seized computers, documents, and certain store items. Corey, who was at the shop, later described the scene as unreal, like it belonged in an action film. Witnesses claim Rick stayed calm during this ordeal, allowing himself to be taken away by officers while curious neighbors recorded everything on their phones. Short video clips spread quickly online, fueling rumors about tax fraud, money laundering, and illegally sourced artifacts passing through the pawn shop. It came out later that banks had flagged suspicious transactions, and ex-business partners had also lodged complaints. In the aftermath, the History Channel halted Pawn Stars production, issuing a terse note that they were keeping an eye on the situation and would respond appropriately once more facts emerged. Although the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop remained open for business, daily foot traffic took a hit as Rick's legal cloud put a damper on the usual buzz. At first, Rick's representatives shot down any wrongdoing, suggesting this was all just a misunderstanding that would soon be settled. His attorney, David Marshall, a Las Vegas lawyer famous for handling celebrity cases, reiterated that Rick always ran his enterprises with complete integrity and obeyed every law. But as time passed, the claims against Rick only grew more worrisome. Officials alleged that Rick took part in an elaborate scheme to undervalue priceless historical objects for tax reasons, then sold them in private channels for their true worth. Even more alarming, investigators accused Rick of knowingly purchasing stolen historical pieces from shady middlemen. Supposedly, these items included important museum documents and other artifacts kept in private collections. Court files later revealed that a former employee, who had helped Rick acquire several big-ticket fines, became a whistleblower. This person handed authorities details of a secret bookkeeping operation used to hide certain deals from the formal records. Though Rick was released on bond right after being taken into custody, he had to face serious felony charges just days later. Tax evasion, money laundering, dealing in stolen property, and conspiring to traffic illegal cultural artifacts were all on the table. According to his lawyer, Rick strongly denied it all and was ready to fight. This legal drama dragged on for nearly a year, with Rick insisting he was innocent. However, as piece after piece of evidence piled up, and ex-associates pointed fingers in court, Rick's defense started to look shaky. The prosecution brought forward financial documents, coded communications, and the accounts of past employees who said Rick told them to doctor official records for high-value transactions. They also displayed proof of offshore accounts set up to stash proceeds from especially profitable sales. One especially damning report was a string of text messages between Rick and a mysterious seller, allegedly about cleaning up the history of an 18th-century paper believed to be swiped from a university archive. Another exchange hinted that Rick had devised a plan to sidestep large cash reporting protocols for major deals. Despite everything, Rick stayed firm in public. He popped up on conservative talk programs, claiming he was a target because of his personal views and financial success. Supporters flocked to him, launching Free Rick hashtags and organizing courthouse protests during the hearings. Yet Rick's image took a major hit once he was officially labeled as someone who broke the law, shocking fans who saw him as the straight-shooting, trivia-loving star of Pawn Stars. A leaked arrest report exposed a more calculating side to Rick than anyone ever expected. Some were appalled, yet others urged compassion, stressing that everyone deserves empathy in their darkest hours. Loyal followers made support groups on social media, emphasizing the educational benefits Rick had given them through Pawn Stars. One admirer wrote, "Rick taught me to love history in a way school never could. Now it's our turn to remember the good he did." If Rick ever offered you fresh insight into any historical subject, these fans encourage you to join online communities that have come together in his defense. They say no matter the accusations, Rick's positive influence shouldn't be overlooked, especially at the moment when he faces his toughest test. The tension in the courtroom soared when the verdict was announced. Rick, who had stayed collected throughout the proceedings, visibly turned pale. Corey, seated just behind him, dropped his head into his hands, and Chum Lee, present every day to cheer on his mentor, rushed out, overwhelmed by emotion. Legal analysts were taken aback by the harshness of the punishment, calling it extreme for the offenses committed. However, the judge pointed out that Rick's sentence addressed not only financial misdeeds but also the priceless damage inflicted on historical and cultural resources through Rick's role in handling stolen artifacts. "Mr. Harrison, you've portrayed yourself to Americans as a steward of history, someone who grasps the importance of objects and the stories they carry," the judge declared. "Yet you willfully engaged in the blatant looting of cultural treasures for personal gain. This court can't overlook the severity of such acts." Soon after sentencing, Rick's legal team sprang into action, filing an immediate appeal and arguing that the punishment was too heavy, even unconstitutional, especially since no violence was involved. They asked the court to let Rick remain free while the appeal moved forward, but that request was turned down, leading to images of Rick in handcuffs dominating news broadcasts and social media feeds. People had mixed reactions. Many of Rick's longtime fans insisted something had gone wrong in the legal process, while experts in the heritage field stood by the stringent verdict, considering it a necessary deterrent in the lucrative black market of stolen artifacts. Despite the turmoil, Rick supporters rallied, creating a Hearts for Harrison movement that collected over 100,000 names, hoping to see his sentence re-evaluated. "We're not claiming he's innocent," explained the group's organizer, Melissa Jenkins. "We just don't believe a lifetime behind bars is proportionate for these crimes. This feels more like revenge than justice." They're asking anyone who still has faith in Rick to sign the petition or chip in for his legal costs. Small donations can help his attorneys build a stronger case in the appeals court. "Every positive message and every bit of financial support counts," Corey said. "My father messed up, but he shouldn't die in jail. He deserves a shot at redemption." The History Channel quickly moved to separate itself from Rick. Pawn Stars was officially pulled from production, and reruns were removed from the immediate lineup. In a press statement, the network voiced its disappointment and promised to uphold proper methods of dealing with historical items. Even though Rick's name is now mired in controversy, nobody can deny his mark on the reality TV scene and the pawn business. Before his downfall, he built a sprawling empire that reached well beyond the boundaries of his famous shop. His entrepreneurial drive led him to open multiple restaurants and bars across Las Vegas, with plans to stretch into additional cities. Meanwhile, the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, currently under Corey's management, remains a well-known stop for tourists traveling to Las Vegas, though the number of visitors dipped once Rick was convicted. Eager to restore trust, Corey has worked on a rebrand, focusing on total honesty for every sale and teaming up with museums and academic organizations to highlight ethical ways of collecting. 6 months after his father's sentencing, Corey opened up in a heartfelt interview about what it's been like to keep the family enterprise alive, while also dealing with the serious revelations of the trial. "We've made huge changes to confirm the origin of every piece we bring in," he stated. "We acknowledge the mistakes and want to help fix the issue." Chum Lee, always looking up to Rick as both a mentor and father figure, talked about his conflicting emotions. "Rick taught me so much, skills I'll always treasure," he admitted during a podcast. "But I had to accept there was another part of him I never saw, or maybe chose not to see. It's been tough." For the Harrison family, the priority is rebuilding a battered image and keeping Rick hopeful while he waits on his appeal. Taking the reins of the family business, Corey has displayed a maturity that surprised many who watched him butt heads with his dad over spontaneous deals on Pawn Stars. The family is deeply touched by the waves of care pouring in from fans worldwide. "He gains strength from every supportive letter he reads," Corey said in a press release. "Knowing people still believe in him is a big deal." Rick is in a vulnerable spot, and if you believe in his ability to grow beyond these mistakes, they're urging everyone to keep that support flowing. Every Sunday, local fans and loved ones join prayer gatherings just outside the pawn shop. They can't visit Rick in person, but they pray or share favorite show memories in postcards and letters, hoping their words reach him and soften the harsh reality of a life behind bars. "My dad taught me everything about this business," Corey remarked in a recent interview. "There was good in all he taught, and I'm channeling that positive side now. Our family business has been here for 3 decades, and I plan to keep it going for 3 more." Rick's journey has been jaw-dropping from the start, morphing from a simple pawn shop owner into a reality TV superstar and successful entrepreneur, only to become a convicted felon serving a life sentence. His fall from admired businessman to public disgrace shows just how fast everything can change under the relentless glare of fame. Social commentators often call Rick's collapse downright Shakespearean. He was a man with vast knowledge of history, but ironically used historical treasures in ways that sparked his own ruin. His tale now serves as a warning about the hazards that sometimes accompany massive success, the temptations that lure ambitious people, and the fine line between savvy dealing and criminal behavior. As Rick's story continues to unfold, there's intense curiosity about what fresh developments might emerge regarding this one-of-a-kind case. The reality TV universe is still shaken, and the Harrison family has been scrambling to keep their enterprise going in the absence of its magnetic figurehead. If Rick ever brightened your day with his quick appraisals or witty banter, this might be the moment to send a little hope his way. The Harrison family launched a dedicated website for fans who want to write messages that will be forwarded directly to Rick in prison. Even a few heartfelt words can give a man in dire circumstances something to cling to. They've also posted the address for those who prefer snail mail, emphasizing that reading letters from supporters has become Rick's main source of comfort. Corey mentioned that Rick deeply appreciated his fans long before any of these troubles began. "He wants everyone to know how grateful he is for the years you spent tuning in and cheering us on," Corey shared. "Now, more than ever, encouraging words can provide a lifeline to a man facing unimaginable circumstances." Despite everything, the gold and silver pawn shop remains part of Las Vegas's identity. The Harrisons are determined to uphold the best values they learned from Rick, even if his story took an unexpected turn. Time will reveal if Rick's appeals find traction or if he must bear the weight of his life sentence. Regardless, his track record on Pawn Stars, and the knowledge he shared, endures in the memories of fans who once saw him as a rugged champion of historical artifacts.